What's up, YouTube? Smashing Pumpkin here, coming at you guys with the video today. Today I'm going to be starting up my new segment I'm going to be calling Round Table Roundup. And basically, what that means is every Monday and Thursday I'm going to be discussing with you guys the Noble Knight archetype, which I have recently discovered, kind of fell in love with. Really cool, and I'm going to be starting talking about it. So what you can expect from this series is tech for the deck, different builds, hopefully some games on DN or DevPro in the future, upcoming support, news, and much more. A lot of people don't really know a lot of archetype, so today I'm going to be discussing with you guys the Noble Knight monsters in detail. Thursday I'm going to be discussing the Noble Arms spell cards in detail. And then Monday I'm going to be discussing what numbers I found were really effective for each card, and then next Thursday I'm going to be discussing what your extra deck should probably consist of. In the description down below I'm going to have all the links to all the cards I'm going to be talking about in the video, so if there's anything that I might have missed, or if there's anything else you want to know about the cards, you can go to the link that I have in the description. So that being said, let's start things off by talking about the normal monster Noble Knight Artorgus. It has some pretty decent stats with 18 by 18, which is okay. However, it doesn't really lend itself to much use. Basically what it means is that you can use Rabbit in the deck pretty successfully. However, like all Rabbit kind of decks, it really sucks when you draw the normal monster. So I don't know how effective that'll be, but we'll see in the future. It's got some pretty decent combos with a lot of the other cards in the deck that require normal monsters. We're going to jump right to the next one, Noble Knight Gawain, who's basically sort of like the Bubble Man in the deck, except where Bubble Man had really kind of terrible stats, Gawain actually has a pretty decent attack stat, so worst case scenario, you can just normal summon and just start punching in. Its great type and attribute allow it for some really good Exceed toolboxing, and honestly, it's a pretty solid all-around card. Next, we're going to be talking about a kind of unusual card for the archetype, which is Ignoble Knight of Black Latticeland. When I say unusual, I'm not meaning it's a bad card by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very effective card from the graveyard to recover from a broken field and basically kind of just start over fresh. However, it can be really dead in your hand, and honestly, every time I've kind of drawn it, I've just wished it was a better card. I think it's a pretty cool card. You can make some really nice combos with it. Just a fun fact about the card, it wasn't something I knew about the first time I looked into the archetype. Since the name Ignoble Knight has noble in it, it does count as a Noble Knight, so you can use it with a bunch of the other cards. Like the next one I'm going to be talking about, Noble Knight Medroid. Basically, Noble Knights would not really be a very competitive deck without Medroid. All the big plays of the deck really kind of revolve around him, because he allows you to tutor from the deck, which not a lot of archetypes can do, and it's a very powerful effect. Thanks to a lot of the other Noble Knights being level 4 and of the same attribute, it kind of lets you have a very good Exceed toolbox, allowing you to go into really cool monsters like Constellar Omega, Starshleech Polydynamo, Blade Armor Ninja, I can't remember, Heroic Champion Excalibur, something like that. But anyway, thanks to its ability to special summon Ignoble Knight from the deck, you can also make a rank 5 sort of toolbox with its effect combined. And that's honestly really cool too. Next up, we're going to be talking about Artorgus, King of the Noble Knights. It's not a very impressive card by any stretch of the imagination. It's really small, and it's very weak in the very start of the game, as of right now. There are cards in the future that could affect this, but as of right now, it's very hard for you to successfully pull it off in the very beginning of the game. There are a bunch of cool combos that you can utilize with this guy. So I'm not saying it's a bad card, it's just not a card that you should really be centralizing your deck around. Next we're going to be talking about Noble Knight Gwalchvlod. which is a really, really nice mid-game card. However, when I first read it, I thought, this card is kind of weak, and I don't really need it in my deck. However, after a lot of testing with it, it's one of those cards that you just kind of have to kind of live with for right now, I guess. Next up, we're going to be talking about Noble Knight Drystan, which is a very, very good card for the deck. Mainly because its potent destruction effect allows you not to have to rely on battle to destroy all of your opponent's monsters. You have a little window of opportunity to get around some pretty pressing threats. Also, its first effect is really coming in handy. Drystan does protect Gwalchflod and Medrit, which is pretty essential because they're a little bit weak by themselves. Next up, we're going to be talking about Noble Knight Bors, which is a super important card to the deck. This card will allow you to quickly go through your deck and get rid of the equip spells that you don't really want to draw later in the game and put them in the graveyard. This is really cool because it can set up with Artorigus really, really well. It provides a good combo off with Medrit, and yeah, it's very, very essential for the deck. The final card I'm going to be talking about is Noble Knight Joan, which is a kind of interesting card. I'm not going to say it's the most competitive card to be using, but it's got a pretty decent effect, and it's got a pretty nice attack stat as well. However, it's much less proactive than a card like Gwalchflod, and although Joan does allow you to get back any warrior monster from your graveyard, it's going to have to wait for it to get destroyed by a card effect or by battle. Be sure to comment down below if I missed something, or if there's something that you want me to talk about in the series. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of Roundtable Roundup, and I'll see you guys later.